Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Live Econ Guy. In this video, guys, I want to talk about student loan debt relief. So, lots of news right now. The recent debt ceiling bill pretty much put into law that the president can't extend the pause on student loans anymore. So, starting with October, people, roughly 40 million Americans, are going to have to start making payments on their student loans for the first time for like 99% of them in 3 years. So I think it's going to be quite a shock, especially with some of the kind of thinking that I want to share with you today. To assist us, I want to take us to a CNBC article. So this one is titled, "It's Official, Student Loan Payments Will Restart in October, Education Department Says." And pretty much just to kind of summarize, over the 3-year long pause in student loan payments, the U.S. Department of Education has repeatedly told borrowers that their bills were set to resume, only to take it back and provide them more time. So that's pretty much President Biden doing a lot of extensions to this. But this time they can't do that because it was codified into law that that's not going to happen again with the debt ceiling bill that recently passed. So payments are due starting in October. So this article says around 40 million Americans have debt from their education. The typical monthly bill is roughly $350. So I don't know what this means, roughly $350. Is that a median? Is that a mean? Obviously, I think the youngest generation, people that just graduated, probably have the biggest payments than those who graduated a decade ago maybe, and they paid off most of their loan. So for many borrowers, the payment pause has been life-altering, saving many from financial ruin and allowing others to finally get ahead financially, said someone from some kind of organization. Here's what to know. So the 3-year pause saved the average borrower $15,000. Now, when they say saved, this didn't get forgiven. It's just you didn't make the payments, but technically you should have been making them. It was only a form of relief. So this says that pretty much former President Donald Trump announced this during the coronavirus pandemic, and it's been extended 8 times, so quite a few. And this is the scary part that I was kind of talking about earlier. Nearly all people eligible for the relief have taken advantage of it, with less than 1%. So that's maybe 400,000 people out of the 400 or 40 million of qualifying borrowers continuing to make payments on their education debt, according to an analysis by a higher education expert. So student loan debt in the U.S. now totals nearly $1.8 trillion. So quite a bit accumulated over time, $1.8 trillion. As a result of the policy, yeah, we already read that. So why the pause will end in the fall, we already mentioned, an act of Congress, so they can't really extend it anymore. Interest will pick up in September, payments start in October. And borrowers don't know what they'll owe. So this doesn't cover something really important. So this does mention that there is a Supreme Court thing right now where $20,000, up to $20,000 of student loan debt might be forgiven. That's if you got Pell Grants, which if you got Pell Grants, you probably didn't need to accumulate a lot of student loans. And if you make less than $125,000 and you didn't get Pell Grants, then I guess $10,000 can be forgiven. But to me, in my opinion, I'm not really going to comment on it, but I think it's an uphill battle with how the Supreme Court is right now. So I'm just going to leave it to, I'm just going to assume that this is not going to happen. But the big kind of issue, big problem I think a lot of people will face is, a lot of these loans are 10-year loans, and this is the Federal Reserve website, student loans owned and scrutinized, or securitized, sorry. And a lot of these, for example, we're in 2023 right now, so let's say these people took it out right here in 2013, and for 3 years they didn't make their payments. So originally their loans were fully due by 2023. So the fact that they didn't make payments for 3 years, what does that mean? It means they still have to pay everything by 2023. So I think a lot of people are going to get hit with a surprise. So you were making, let's say, $300. That was your monthly payment before the pandemic, before the pause. And during the pause, you made 0 payments. So you're gonna assume that, hey, I'm just gonna continue paying $300 now that the whole thing is being resumed. Student loan payments are being resumed. But guess what? That's not what's going to happen. You're going to be paying more than that, depending on when you got the loan. So if you didn't make anything during the pandemic, if you didn't make any payments, on average, you're going to be paying roughly 33% more probably. So you were paying $300. Now you're going to be paying like $450. Even worse for people who had only like 4 years left on their loan. If you made nothing during the pandemic as far as payments, you're going to be paying not $300. You're going to be making like, I don't know, $1,000. You're going to be paying $1,000 a month because that whole amount is due the same day. It was the same day, month, year it was originally due. Nothing changed as far as the timelines and kind of the lifespans of the student loans. So I think a lot of people, guys, are going to be kind of surprised, really surprised. It's going to, I don't know, I think it's going to shock a lot of people. And I read other articles where a lot of people, I think this one actually mentions, what have there? So 14 million can actually have their full balance forgiven if this $20,000 thing goes through the Supreme Court. But I did read some other articles, and I'll actually link them down below, where it says that roughly a third of student loan borrowers say they won't be affected by the resumption of the payments. A third say they're going to have to start cutting back on a lot of things they're buying and spending. And a third are going to be in deep trouble. So that's a lot of people. Out of 42 million, a third. I mean, you're talking roughly like 14 million people behind on their bills. So, yeah, and that's given that there's perfect information. Everyone knows the same thing, that, hey, your loan term stayed the same. Your lifespan of the loan didn't change with the pause. So you still have to pay your loan by the due date where it says on your contract. So if you got it in 2015, you pay it off by 2025 no matter what. So that's just my 5 cents. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. Let me know what you think. If you have a student loan, have you been making payments during the pause, or have you been putting it off into a savings account and just building a strong savings account so you can fully pay it off when the payments resume? Or, I mean, my fear is that there are people who didn't make any payments during the 3 years and they spent all the money, and now that payments are going to resume, they're already kind of dry on savings. If you watch one of my videos I made, household savings are low, household credit due or credit accumulated, credit card debt accumulated is high. So where are people going to be getting this money to start making their student loan payments is going to be interesting to watch. I mean, I guess some people are going to have to start selling things. It's going to be interesting. So do let me know what your situation is, what you think about this, and thanks for tuning in.